So there I was, Oh, it's Saki Joe, by the way. There I was, playing some Fire Emblem Heroes and about to head to bed. Then I go on Quora because I'm a loser, and I see this post by Richard Hanania, which is more of a tweet. And let's just get right into it because I have a lot to say about this stuff. So, Richard tweets, let's say Jeffrey Epstein wants to have, the fun stuff with a 14-year-old girl and will pay her $10 million. The money will go into a mutual fund that will pay out when she's 21. The girl agrees, as do both of her parents. Should this be allowed? And are you male or female? So, fortunately, majority of the people say no, and it's nice to see that a lot of the men disagree with said post. This might not indicate very good. This is not a very good case study because, for all we know, this guy's a sausage fest of a following, and this doesn't really indicate anything. Women say no, and then you have an interesting. And then there's some men. Of course, you're always gonna have some creeps, and then there's a surprising amount of women actually who think that this should be okay, and it's definitely not okay. D- she's a minor, man. She can't consent. And okay, you're assuming that Epstein wants normal, just like missionary style, go hog wild and dip the sausage into the condiments. That's what you're assuming. But this is Epstein we're talking about. He had an island. You know, might have to get an extra orifice. You don't ever know. You don't know what happened to these women. They went through the most horrendous things and they were forced into it. And it's like, okay, so Epstein will pay 10 million. But what's the catch? There's going to be a catch. You can't just you can't just do it with a saggy old man and then expect there to be no catch. Is Epstein gonna videotape this? Is he gonna hold it against you that you always had to keep doing this? He doesn't have to give the 10 million. You know what I mean? Are you gonna contract this with a lawyer? Because I can guarantee you, there's gonna be zero lawyers who are gonna watch this and be like, yeah, this is legally binding. No, it's not. You can't just have your 14-year-old daughter go, you know, you know, have 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 sex with an old guy, and then the lawyer's just like, yeah, this is legally binding. Yeah, that 10 million. Yeah, like, it's good to go. You're never gonna get an agreement like that. And if you do get a lawyer like that, which I'm pretty sure do exist, then they should also not be practicing. Ugh. Okay, the point is, I don't even think this needs to be a question. I understand that it. I understand the implications of it, and I understand the thought process. It's just not a question. Like, it's a question to ponder, maybe, but not to be asked. Especially, it's certainly not to your audience. I think the obvious answer was no. Making this a sex thing is really it's very misleading because, um, because your audience, you know what I mean? Like, if you're a dude, and I see your picture, most likely your other dudes are following you, okay? I don't know what women follow, but they don't typically follow just the average dude. Sorry, bud. Sorry, they're rich, but you know, I wouldn't say you're bad looking, but not exactly models, so you're not exactly gonna have a strong, female following. And even then, like, if they saw this picture, you know how many people would just be like, "What the hell is this?" Because 806,000 votes, to be fair, is a very good number of. That's a very good. In terms of sample size, that is very good. But again, it's a really weird question. I don't think that the questionnaire was very good. There's just a lot of flaws, a lot of variables that you didn't take into account. I don't think that this is good for data research or anything like that. But it does give you a basic idea and a glimpse into what people are thinking. So, again, the sex discrepancy could just be the fact that this guy has an NFL football team following him, and then the woman is just like, I don't know, his sisters and his mom or something like that. I would like to think that this guy was thinking hypothetically and wasn't actually serious about this question, because then it would call into question the guy himself, and I'm just like, yo, dude, that's kind of creepy too. You know what I mean? And it's ugh, I just can't get over this, man. I can't get over this thought process because I'm sure people will ask 12, 16, 8, fucking 8 years old like uh, if you're a parent that you must be desperate. And don't get me wrong, this probably happens in a lot of third world nations where a lot of parents do sell their daughters into, a human trafficking scheme, but I don't think that they do it willingly. I think they do it thinking that it's justified because they can take care of the other kids, and then like they're so desperate for money, and it's a quick buck. And point is, when you're 14, it's not just about like you being able to consent, but you being able to understand what this would do to you mentally, because a lot of these things, childhood trauma doesn't really, like, it really affects you, and it goes out in the worst way possible when you're an adult. If it's not addressed in any of the stages prior to being adult, it will affect your adulthood for the rest of your life, and in a very negative way. A lot of people will not realize how an assault like this will affect their future, will affect their future relationships, their future opportunities, and their future personalities, and future future parenting. You just don't know. Like, I don't think that this question should be really entertained in the way that these yes women and men are, because $10 million, I'm gonna be honest, is not that much money either. You get because of the rate of change here, houses are going to be a tenth of that. And then if you don't work, that's going to be done legally split. You're going to have a lot of vultures going to ruin your money. And if you invest it in even like one wrong investment, you're fucked. You know what I mean? Like, you can even buy a house, pay off everything. You like for $5 million or $3 million, rent out the rooms, but you get the wrong tenant, and the next thing you know, you got no money and you can't even evict them. You know what I mean? There's a lot of factors that go into this. 10 million is not a lot. It's a lot in the moment. It's a lot for 1 year. But if that doesn't grow, that 10 million in your 14 7 years could just be worth 8 million because of inflation. You know what I mean? Like are you gonna grow this money? And 8 million, again, still a lot. In retrospectively, but when you get that at 21, are you really gonna have the mindset to be able to handle that kind of finances? Like, how are your parents gonna be in control of that? Your parents gonna have access to your money? They obviously want to have access because of the mutual fund. So the mutual fund, apparently it will grow, but that doesn't mean that your parents can't just take it. Like, how do you know that that's going to be safe for you? How do you know you're gonna have that 10 million? You know what I mean? And again, there's gonna be no legally binding contract unless there's some form of corruption, which there definitely is. But this is not gonna be like legally binding shit. You know what I mean? So, um, I'm glad everyone said no. But to the people, the 3% of the men and the 9% of women, y'all gotta get yourselves checked out, man. This is not good. 42 million views and 806,000 votes. That's actually a pretty good first conversion. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie, man. This is not something. 73% is, well, it's low. Uh, it's low in the sense that it feels like it should be higher than that. The 3% should really be one. I think 3% is too high. That's three too much. 90% is definitely high. Anyways, yeah, that's everything I gotta say. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think? Is it's kind of fucked up. All right, later days.